Hi. So as the title suggests, Destiny is getting a completely new weapon type. We don't know the release date of these new weapons. I would expect next season, but the only information we have right now is future season. But let's get into what the actual weapon is. So, straight up, the name is Heavy Burst Handcannons. And all of this information is coming from last week's This Week in Destiny. So as for this type of gun, according to the blog post, it'll be a hand cannon that shoots a 2-round burst. Now, another thing mentioned in this blog post, along with the reveal of the Heavy Burst Handcannons, is that Warden's Law, a very old relic, to be honest, will be the first of this new weapon type, which I'll get into some speculation about that later. But if you know how Warden's Law works, you should kind of have an idea of what this new weapon type is going to look like. That being said, it's going to be different still. Warden's Law was cool and unique because back in Forsaken when it came out, it was part of the double fire archetype. And it was kind of a fake, like a sham, because it shot 2 bullets, but it shot them at the same time. So it was essentially like shooting explosive payload, but bad. And because of that, there's a reason why you don't see this gun, despite it being one of a kind. That being said, back to the new weapon type, these hand cannons are going to be burst. Like, it's actually going to shoot 2 separate bullets. Most similar to, in the hand cannon family, Crimson, which shoots a 3-round burst and has all those bullets, and you can actually see each individual bullet fired and removed from your ammo count. And then also the 2-round burst weapons such as Graviton Lance, and then the heavy burst version of Revision 0. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Revision 0 and this new weapon type share pretty much the same name. So since this new weapon type is going to be an actual burst option, there are quite a few things that are going to make it way more interesting than just the normal hand cannon. Specifically, how perks are going to work with the ammo count and the shots fired, which we can get into a whole lot of speculation if we wanted to, but all we know is that we've got at least one hand cannon entering that family, and we don't even know when it's coming out. So I'm going to avoid the speculation because honestly, I just couldn't tell right now. But that's just for perks. What I would like to talk about, and you could say speculate a little bit, is what its damage is going to look like. So going back to Warden's Law, which I want to say is kind of the progenitor to this new weapon type, Warden's Law is a 120 RPM hand cannon. And if this new hand cannon weapon type is going to be 120 RPM as well, they're definitely going to have to walk a fine line of damage numbers. However, we could also relate it to the actual real burst option for hand cannons being Crimson, where it says it's a 415 RPM, but it is actually, well, if you divide 415 by 3, you get a 140 RPM. So it fires similar to normal 140 hand cannons. And I would expect that this new weapon archetype will follow suit of one of the pre-existing hand cannon families, because I don't think they're going to be introducing a new RPM that can really just throw off all of Crucible. And while I do think it's going to be a pre-existing RPM, it's called Heavy Burst Hand Cannon, and I feel like heavy kind of means slow. So if I had to guess, I would assume it's going to follow suit with Warden's Law and stay as a 120 RPM, which, with that knowledge, also means damage perks might go a little crazy, but we'll have to see. But regardless of what all that turns out to be, it's going to be interesting. A 2-round burst weapon in the form of a hand cannon. But now let's talk, is it going to be good? And to give you the short answer before I give you all the details is I think so. In the same This Week in Destiny, we also got the reveal of some major buffs coming to hand cannons. These include some reload speed and then damage, but namely the damage, because this is kind of where it gets insane. hand cannons are having their damage increased to red bars by another 20%. Last season, hand cannons had their damage increased by 20%, and now it's being increased again by 20%. But what's even crazier is that against orange bars, so majors, hand cannons will be dealing 75% more damage. And so this isn't super exclusive to the new weapons, but kind of all hand cannons are going to be poised to be very good, especially in things like GMs and solo lost sectors. It's going to do almost double damage to orange bars, and then an extra 20% to miners, which I feel like it already does pretty well. And then go into the reload speed. That's getting increased on the low end, so high reload hand cannons aren't really going to see difference, but low reload hand cannons will. That's also going to help, because according to Bungie, one of the main pinpoints is that you don't have much ammo inside of a hand cannon, especially if you miss shots. So fast reload means less sitting around. So with all of these buffs named, hand cannons and this new weapon type are really, as I said earlier, poised to be strong. And I'm thinking very strong. Especially if it's low fire rate, probably going to be high range, higher damage. And I am really, really confident that when we do get these weapons, at least some of them are going to be meta. At least that is my prediction. I'm curious if you agree with me. And one little thing I kind of wanted to sprinkle in here too is that this might go crazy with Lucky Pants, because Lucky Pants goes off the amount of shots you hit, and a burst hand cannon obviously hits more shots in a shorter amount of time, meaning more damage. So if you can pop Vorpal or something on these new guns, I'm sure you'll see an As Cross video going over what the best Lucky Pants hand cannon is. And with all that being said, that's kind of all I've really got. I'll probably make another video on this weapon type once we learn more about it, and when we probably have a release date for it, because new things to Destiny is kind of all I really want. Variety, awesome. But let me know down in the comments what you guys think of this new archetype, and if you think it's going to be trash like Warden's Law is right now, or maybe it's got a meta spot. And if you want to support me and support this channel, and you can't think of a comment down below Burst. And again, if you've made it this far in the video, please know I absolutely appreciate you. You are awesome, and I'm very grateful that you choose to watch my stuff to fill your time with. Anyways, that's all I've really got to say. Hope to see you around.